What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. It is no longer a secret about the involvement of North Korean troops in Russian-Ukrainian war on the side of Russia. The estimates range, but the most common and the most reliable one is that there are currently approximately 11,000 North Koreans trying to make Putin's dreams come true. This number comes to us from the Western intelligence as well as Ukrainian and South Korean one. Some also say that these soldiers are already fighting along the front lines, while the others claim that they are just being trained and prepared to be sent into Ukraine. And while we have different opinions and reactions to the involvement of North Korea in this war, one of such reactions deserves our utmost attention, which is the rather unusually negative reaction of the Z propaganda. You would normally think that the Z propaganda would be more than happy to greet other countries fighting on their side against Ukrainians. This will give them yet another reason to claim that Putin is doing something right. And more people around the world, they see it. Especially taking into consideration how hard the propaganda worked in the past 3 years to justify North Korea as a good and well-functioning country. But the reality turned out to be completely the opposite. Most Z bloggers do not want North Koreans fighting alongside Russians. And today, let's talk about the reasons why such a controversial thing would even happen. The story of North Korean troops supporting Russia and Ukraine has unfolded with a mixture of intrigue, skepticism, and conflicting statements. German newspaper, for example, Bild, describes these soldiers as literally combat slaves from some of the world's most ruthless units, brainwashed since early childhood to serve without question. The New York Times reports that these troops are already on the ground in Kursk, ready to join counteroffensive operations. Spanish outlet El Mundo portrays them as elite soldiers who are perfectly trained and equipped, suggesting they are far superior to the inexperienced Russian recruits currently on the front lines in Ukraine. Well, it looks like that Putin just literally won a lottery, agreeing to trade some military secrets with Kim Jong-un in exchange for these super soldiers. But we also have another side of the story. For example, the Wall Street Journal offers a completely different portrayal, stating that these North Korean soldiers appear relatively short and lightly built, reflecting the widespread hunger in their home country. This difference in narratives highlights the very nature of their involvement and raises questions about the actual capabilities and impact of these troops. Are they really that good of soldiers, capable of everything and afraid of nothing? Or are they just a media trick that allows Putin to show the world that other countries support his mission in Ukraine? While we are still seeking the truth, one fact remains uncontested. North Korean troops have become a significant element in the informational warfare surrounding the conflict in Ukraine. Their alleged presence has raised global curiosity, adding a new level of concern to an already delicate geopolitical situation. So yes, unfortunately, Putin's media trick has worked. At least for now. But is there anything behind the facade of portrayed power? And while much attention has been paid to Western media reactions, a deeper and perhaps more revealing narrative is unfolding within Russia itself. Within the Russian pro-war blogging community, the response to the arrival of North Korean troops is anything but uniform. There is a palpable sense of confusion and mistrust regarding this development. On one hand, these bloggers often support every narrative that portrays Russia as the most powerful and generous nation on earth, a country praising traditional values and standing as a shield against Western influence. On the other hand, there is a feeling of resentment towards the rest of the world, a feeling of being misunderstood or unfairly targeted. Well, if this sounds like exactly what Putin would say, well, that's exactly the purpose of the Z propaganda. Just repeat and spread his messages without adding anything new. The initiative here is punishable, and going against the grain is as bad as the worst criminal offense. So, this is the first unusual sign why would Putin's own propaganda turn against North Koreans so fast, not letting them prove their worth. Without a doubt, the introduction of North Korean troops adds another layer of complexity to their already mixed sentiments. Russia is a big country, with its population 5 times bigger and 140 times larger in territory than North Korea. The very idea of seeking assistance from a country often associated with famine and economic hardship seems absurd, ridiculous, and irrelevant with the image of Russia as the global superpower. It is as if a bodybuilder would ask a person who came to the gym for the very first time to spot him on 500 pounds bench press. I mean, yes, there is a spotter, and he can stand there and make it look like that he is helping, but in case things go bad, the spotter won't be able to do much other than try to help, fail, run away from the gym and never come back, trying to avoid the wrath of the bodybuilder at all costs. But anyways, some bloggers attempt to downplay the significance of North Koreans fighting for Russia by strictly following the official narratives. They emphasize that the cooperation complies with international law and existing treaties, framing it as a natural extension of international alliances. By maintaining a matter-of-fact tone, they try to normalize the situation and deflect any criticism or ridicule. They assert that the so-called special military operation will continue until Russia achieves its victory, with or without North Korean assistance. Others, on the other hand, embrace the news by highlighting shared interests and ideological alignment between Russia and North Korea. They point out that both nations uphold traditional family values and resist the influence of the West. These bloggers often refer to the Korean brothers, quote-unquote, envisioning a powerful alliance that could challenge and even crush Western opposition. Some even indulge in wet fantasies of 500,000-strong North Korean private military company, joining forces with Russia, blending nationalism with a selective form of internationalism. However, not all reactions are serious. The idea of North Korean involvement has also spawned jokes, memes, and satirical commentary even within the Z community itself. And then there is a third group of Z propagandists, those who, despite the official narrative, turn against and pretty much despise the involvement of North Korean troops in Russian-Ukrainian war. Their main reason is that the Russian military is so strong, it is the strongest one, and does not need the help of such weak and small clown state as North Korea. Russian soldiers are capable of achieving the ultimate victory all by themselves. They do not want help, they don't need it. Only weaklings ask for help, and Russia is not weak. You accept help once, and you're forever seen as a country incapable of solving its own problems. And usually these are the most nationalistic and extremely pro-war bloggers who spread this particular narrative. The incorporation of North Korean troops into Russia's military efforts highlights deeper systemic issues within the Russian armed forces. The military landscape is fragmented, comprising of regular army units, former people's militias, private military companies like the Wagner Group, volunteer squads, and the National Guard, which itself is divided among factions loyal to different leaders. Controlling this extremely diverse armed force, which reports to its own commanders, is a bureaucratic and logistical nightmare for the Ministry of Defense of Russia. So no wonder some things go unnoticed and later resurface in the media, forcing the official Russian military representatives to make excuses and justifications on such formations' behalf. Reports from pro-war bloggers and independent observers have shed light on internal conflicts, corruption, and competing agendas among commanders and units. There are documented cases of officers engaging in corrupt practices, including embezzlement, bribery, drug trafficking, and even eliminating subordinates who threaten their illegal activities. One chilling story involves a Colonel Puzik, who allegedly nullified quote-unquote his own soldiers to protect his corruption schemes and drug dealings. This lack of unity extends to tensions between different factions. The Kadyrovtsi, Chechen unit solely loyal to Ramzan Kadyrov, often pursue their own objectives independently of the central command. Major General Aptialo Udinov, a prominent Kadyrovets and deputy head of the main military political directorate of the Russian armed forces, publicly criticized other Russian troops as robbers, looters, and marauders, accusing them of mistreating civilians in Kursk. If a regular person dares to make even a fraction of such statement, he or she faces decades in prison. One of Kadyrov's men does it. Well, Putin ignores it like nothing ever happened. Such different attitudes towards different people only exaggerates the lack of solidarity and trust within the military. The absence of a shared noble cause or a cohesive strategy results in a military effort that is multidirectional and often counterproductive. Commanders prioritize personal gain over collective success, leading to operations driven by individual agendas rather than coordinated planning. When the officers themselves do not believe in the victory and do not believe in the righteousness of their doings, what is even the purpose of endangering their own lives? They start seeing this war as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get rich quick. They take bribes from the soldiers who do not want to be sent into the meat assaults. They take their monthly salaries while they're being treated in the hospitals, because they know that not a single person will ever trade their lives for $2,000. And if soldiers refuse to give their money, well, they will be forced into dead-end assaults, be eliminated, and then the officer will still find a way to empty his bank account. And if they miraculously do succeed and capture another abandoned barn in the open field, well, the medals and awards that they will receive will surely look good on their weekend uniform. The addition of North Korean troops to this already complex military mess introduces new layers of uncertainty and potential conflict. Language barriers, cultural differences, and different military doctrines could hinder integration and cooperation on the battlefield. While their notorious discipline and willingness to endure hardships might enhance certain operations, their presence could also exaggerate existing tensions and rivalries within the Russian forces. This fragmented approach to warfare, characterized by competing interests and a lack of unified command, raises critical questions about the long-term effectiveness of Russia's military endeavors in Ukraine. Territorial gains might be achieved, but they might be incidental rather than the result of deliberate strategic planning. The focus on personal enrichment and political maneuvering among commanders detaches them from fulfilling their actual military objectives. The potential for North Korean troops to assert their own sense of solidarity and purpose could create friction within the disordered structure of the Russian military. If these troops operate with a higher degree of commitment to collective goals, their integration could challenge existing power dynamics and command structures. The officers and the soldiers will see them as show-offs and know-it-alls, and will most certainly not cooperate with them at the productive levels. Think about yourself, for example. When was the last time you genuinely wished a show-off to succeed in whatever he or she was doing? Instead, probably you wanted him to fail miserably and make a fool out of himself in front of everyone. The endgame remains unclear. The infusion of foreign soldiers into conflicted and fragmented military apparatus complicates any predictions about future developments. The situation emphasizes the challenges of conducting a large-scale military operation without a unified vision or a unified leadership. But as always, this war is more of a media presentation for Putin. He tried to conquer Ukraine and he failed. He most likely knows that, unless a miracle happens, he will not simply win. So the least he can do is to try and save his face and delay the inevitable for as long as possible. And if joining the forces with the world's outcasts helps him to achieve this goal, well, he's surely going to take it. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if this was interesting, informative, or both. If you wish to support my work, there are links down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims are resolve they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.